The Montreal Canadiens didn't get a top six forward by the trade deadline. Instead, they got some gritty character players with experience. But will it be enough to translate into goals? That and more in this week's edition of Hockey Inside Out. I'm Adam Susser, and I'd like to welcome you to this week's show with our panelists. Far right, Mr. Stu Cowan. Right beside me, Mr. Chris Nilan. Straight from the gym, Mr. Georges Laraque. Thanks for joining us, George. This is what we're going to be talking about on today's show. Number one, did the Canadiens do enough at the trade deadline, or could they have done better? Number two, the Habs may have gotten bigger, but will they be able to score? Number three, has Claude Julien started to make his mark on the team? Number four, our HIO Viewer question wonders out loud if Kirk Muller was ever in the mix to coach the Habs. And number five, PK Subban's game is on the rise while Shay Webber's is on the decline. Can we expect more of this trend in the future? Let's start the show. While they weren't able to secure the elusive first or second line centerman that they so desperately needed, Marc Bergevin did make some interesting moves for the Canadiens before the trade deadline. He said goodbye to little David Desharnais, the slightly less little Sven Andrighetto, Greg Pateryn, and some draft picks in exchange for some big, experienced character players who each come with at least one special skill set. By 3 p.m. on Wednesday, the Habs had acquired 5 new players, but did it make the Canadiens a better team?
Scoring goals is still what it takes to win games, and I don't think Marc Bergevin did much to solve that problem, so I think it's going to be more of the same going forward, just with a bigger lineup.
I give 5 out of 10 because they address the problem they have with the size. I like King. King is the version that we would have liked to see McCarron be. So for that, the fourth line is going to be better. But again, over the past 4 years, that's all we do. We improve our third and fourth line. We have plumbers again. And for 4 years, we've been talking about the lack of scoring in the top 6. And again, without Radulov and Pacioretty in the playoff because they're going to be neutralized, who else is going to score? So we're going to rely again on Carey Price to stop everything if we want a chance to win.
Which fourth line do you mean? There's more than one, I think.
They address the size problem, there's no question about it, which is a good thing. If you saw the Islander game, they were on their knees all night. They didn't have anybody that could hang on to the puck in the offensive zone except for Radulov. Now, scoring goals, have they addressed that? No. I think this GM addressed a lot in the offseason. Picking up Radulov was a huge... Imagine if this guy wasn't here, Radulov right now, where this team would be. So he addressed some things. And if you want to better your team come trade deadline, you have to be willing to part with Pacioretty, Price, Weber. You got to part with big names to get a player of that magnitude. And quite frankly, that the offseason is the time to do that.
Couldn't you also do it with some prospects or younger guys?
Yeah, but no, when you think of the price for Duchesne, a defenseman, a frontline player, and a first-round pick, or a top prospect like a Sergachev, that's overpaying. So I think that's ridiculous. But even if you're going to overpay, it's stupidity.
But actually, when you say Pacioretty and Price, I disagree because Price, we need him.
Of course, you're going to disagree.
But I'll tell you,
no. But those are the only guys that are going to get anything with Price or Pacioretty.
But actually, I don't agree. I think that McCarron, Gallagher, I thought those two guys were going to be gone. Ham and Sergachev, I would have sacrificed Sergachev.
I wouldn't have got rid of Sergachev, but you're talking
Gallagher and McCarron to get what we needed.
You're talking the other two guys, Gallagher and who? McCarron. Who is that going to get you, George?
Well, again, if you get a first
that's going to get you a Duchesne.
If you give a first pick and you give McCarron and Gallagher, you can get Duchesne for sure.
You would never get Duchesne for that. No way.
Oh my God, are you kidding
No way. No way. First pick in those two? No way.
Gallagher is a good player, and McCarron is a good prospect. First round.
Gallagher hasn't scored a goal all year. People see that. They're not going to say, oh, maybe someday he'll be back to himself. You hope it here, but you're not going to be able to trade and get a guy like Duchesne for those. No, but impossible.
But if you, I'm sorry, but if you ask Sergachev, Gallagher, and McCarron, Sergachev, I think even almost trade up, you can almost do it. You give those two other guys, they could have got him for sure.
No way.
But I think it's even maybe too much.
I wouldn't get rid of Sergachev. There's no way. Go in the future here. We're talking about a puck-moving defenseman. They need a left-handed one. And we're going to get rid of that kid, a prospect who is going to be a foundation of defense for years to come here.
But the windows to win the cup is 3 years.
I'm like Bernie. I don't believe in it. No.
Well, at some point, you got to go for it, I think. I mean, he was saying, oh, we're going to get in the playoffs. When you have Carey Price, anything can happen. Yeah, but what happens if Carey Price gets hurt before the playoffs? Or if Carey Price doesn't play like Carey Price?
To me, at some point... If he gets hurt, they're in trouble.
But to me, at some point, you got to go for it. for it. But it seems like the Canadiens now are happy to just get in the playoffs and see what happens. That seems to be their mentality.
I don't think they're just happy doing that. I mean, it could be argued that the team is as much bigger than they've been in years. Do you think that will free up the goal scorers to score and
it's
wear
5 years
down?
now Marc Bergevin has been here, and they still can't score. Like, how long is it going to take?
And it's in the top 6. They need to be bigger and had skills. The bottom, okay, it's bigger, it's better. But again, they'll be more physical, but they won't be scoring more goals because of that. They won't get run around.
To wear other teams down more because they're significantly bigger than they've been in so long.
Yeah, but not the top 6. The top 6, that's the players that plays the most. So when you say the fourth line is going to be bigger, okay, but the fourth line play 9 minutes a game. You're not going to wear and tear the other teams. Weber doesn't even hit. So again, King is there. Okay, he's going to be more physical, but that's one guy. Hot is a shit disturber, but Hot, Gallagher, and Shaw, 3 same type of play where you have 3 guys like that in your lineup. Who's going to take the fire out, right? Kane's going to do everything now. Like, you look at that, a couple of the things that are there. Scoring is always important. That's what you have to address. I think they tried, but again, I think that this year, if you look at Washington, Pittsburgh, our team that we have now, yeah, we have Carey Price, but if those teams stay healthy, we have no chance against them.
They weren't going to overpay, and they didn't.
Well, Max Pacioretty, the thing with Max is playing the best hockey I've ever seen him play. I mean, he's playing physical, he's going to the net, he's scoring. I mean, you were saying, where would they be without Radulov? Where would they be without Max Pacioretty?
There it goes without saying.
But he needs some help. Like, he can't carry this team the rest of the way all by himself like he almost has been now as far as putting the puck in the net.
Like his center is Dano. Would you imagine if he had a true first center, how many goals he would have for now? He had 5 centers this year, Pacioretty. He has 21 goals. That's pretty impressive, and he's the best bargain in the NHL. So that's why when you say in the trade, to trade Pacioretty, I'm like...
No, but that's the only way you're going to get anything. That's the only, too many hits to the head. That's the only way they're going to get anything. If they trade someone that can do something. You're talking about trading guys... Stop.
Julesson.
Yeah, maybe Julesson, but Julesson alone isn't going to get it done. You got to give a top line player a Julesson and a first round pick.
Julesson,
a top line player.
Julesson, Beaulieu, Gallagher, McCarron.
No, you're pipe dreaming.
And he has all those second round picks he's accumulated also. I mean, I think Bergevin had some cards to play.
Yeah.
Chris, do you like the pickups they made? Do you think the team will score more?
I just think it's bigger. I don't know if the team's going to score more. Honestly, they scored a lot at the beginning of the season. They haven't now. I've always said this team is too small. They had to get bigger. They get bigger. Does that mean they're going to score more goals? No. It can give them more offensive zone time on some shifts. Keep the puck in that end for a change. A lot of times they go in there. Once it gets physical, it's one and done. It's over. Them little guys end up on their knees. These bigger guys, if they're able to control the puck, like some guys can, and you go in the corner, protect that puck, and able to hang on to it and create some in-zone time, you're going to have more momentum for your team.
Okay. Claude Julien he's coached 6 games. His record is 4-2. The Canadiens are riding a modest 3-game win streak. Do you think he's made his mark on the Habs?
The players seem to really like him. I mean, they all say the same thing. He's honest. He lets you know exactly where you stand. He's sort of a positive vibe, and he's straightforward with them. He tells them exactly what they want. So it seems like, he's definitely had a little bit of, given them a bit of a bump. I think they might have thought it would come quicker. I mean, they've been winning all these games in overtime. But I think I think the GM, after not making the moves at the trade deadline, is relying on Claude Julien as the number 1 person to turn this team around.
I'd say not yet. And the reason why I say that is, if you look at the team, the way they're playing right now, Claude Julien is known as the defensive coach that gets the guys to play in units of 5. And the games that we've won, we need a Carey Price like before to do miracles. Too many wide open play where people go, some guys get right to the middle to the net. It's unbelievable the scoring chance that we're giving away now still. And Carey Price has been unbelievable. He's back to the Carey we know, and that's why we won those games, not because of his system. So it's going to take a bit of time because he just came in. Claude Julien was in vacation. He came into a team, not much practice because the schedule, there's so many games. I think it's more next year we're going to see more of that system. But for so far, guys, maybe they're happy about the coaching change and stuff. But so far on the ice, I don't see it.
I see a little bit, but it's going to take time like anything. This isn't rocket science systems in the NHL. Every team basically copies every other team. There's only so many variations of certain systems you can do. So they get the gist of the system. I don't think they're where this coach wants them to be right yet. And you're right about the odd man rushes and guys going right up the middle, breakaways. We've seen that the past few games, and you can't You can't win hockey games and be consistently good when you do that.
I think Julien has helped Max Pacioretty. I think he will continue to. I mean, the relationship with Max and Michel Therrien, I don't know, but Claude Julien said after the game in New Jersey that he had a chat with Max, and he says you don't need to be a rah-rah guy to be a leader. You can just lead by example, and he said that's what Max has been doing since he's been there.
Okay, it's time for our HIO Viewer question of the week. This week's question comes to us from Jean-Michel Leroux from Montreal, who asks, in all the discussions regarding the firing of Michel Therrien, no one mentioned the possibility of making Kirk Muller the head coach. Would that not have been a plausible scenario?
I think if Claude Julien hadn't been available, there was a possibility maybe of Muller coming in as an interim coach until the end of the season, and then they would see what they would do. But Jeff Molson's made it pretty clear this team has to have a bilingual head coach, and Kirk Muller's not bilingual.
Those are two things that we know. They talked to Gérard Galland and Claude Julien. Claude Julien was the first choice, but they didn't know if he was going to accept it. And they were going to talk to Gérard Galland after. If those two guys would have refused it because we know how important it was to have a French-speaking coach, then Claude Julien would have been, Kirk Muller would have been there as an interim coach. But those two guys were available, one of the two accepted, and then that was it. But here, the debate with the language is so important. I don't know why, but anyway, and that's the way it was. And they had two candidates that they really wanted it, and they went for it, and they got lucky with Julien, which was in vacation, and they agreed to come right away.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever considered. Yeah, maybe as an interim, but like I said, he can't be the coach of the Canadiens because he can't speak French. And again, I don't understand it. I know that if they made him the interim coach, it would have been the same as Cunninworth. They would have been protesting out there, and the people who are protesting, none of them go to the games. None of them are even fans. So I don't see the point in it, and it's about time they kind of address that. I wish they would.
Well, Bergevin said two things at the press conference after that I sort of shook my hand. One was, did Jeff Molson have anything to do with this decision? And he said zero. And the second one was, did Claude Julien being fired have anything to do with you making the decision? And he said no. I wonder about both of those things. I think when Claude Julien became available, I think maybe Jeff Molson might have had a little say, and maybe let's go get him, because I think Bergevin, if he had his own way, would have probably wanted to give Michel Therrien a chance after the bye week with everybody healthy to see what his friend could do.
That's for sure, because he gave an extension to his friend, to Michel Therrien, so you would look back to get rid of him so fast. And at the same time, you have to talk to the owners, because next year it costs you $7 million in coaches. Yeah. So you can make this decision of paying $7 million in coaches next year without talking to the owner of the team. So for sure, he had something to say about it.
Okay. Big night tonight, Thursday night. PK Subban's making his return.
Chris has got his Predators jersey ready to wear.
I will be there. I will stand for the anthem, and I will watch the pregame ceremony.
Are you going to cry?
I'll be in tears.
Taping the game, I assume? Going to replay it tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. PK Subban has had a great February. He's averaged a point per game, whereas Shay Webber, not as good. He's averaged slightly less than half of that. Do you think this is something that we could see more of in the future, or is PK just doing well and Weber's not having such a good time?
When the trade was made, I predicted this would happen, that PK would continue to get better and Shea Weber would continue to slide at just the age they are. I didn't think it would happen this quickly. I mean, with PK, it's been a tough season for him and the Predators. He had that back injury. He was never really healthy. He missed 16 games. Now he's back. Now he's healthy. He's playing well. Definitely has something to prove at the Bell Center against the Canadiens. So I think, just imagine if the Predators get into the playoffs and go on a long run with PK and the Habs don't make it or go out in the first round.
Last year, Weber played with Yossi. Yossi was just an all-around, really fast defenseman. Second half of the season, he slowed down. In the playoff, he was totally slowing down. When we acquired him, the media, when they talked to him, first press conference, they asked him on the phone, what are you going to do not to have a slow second part of the season with Montreal? And he was surprised by the question. He said, I'll work out in the summer. In the trade, I said it, that a big guy like that, 6'4", 240, second half of the season, he's always going to slow down. And now he's not even physical. People talk about a force, protecting the goalie. People are hating Carey Price. He doesn't even stand in there. He's tired, and you could see it. And look at the defenseman he played with. He played with Emlyn, which is too slow. Now he's playing with Markov, which is too slow. He's not playing with a Yossi, so he looks slower. And because of that, of course, his carry is in decline. He's slowing down. The PK is in his prime. So it's clear that when they got Weber, that's what we talked about, the window of 3 years, because in 2 years, in 2-3 years, he's done. So your number one defenseman won't be number one anymore, and you have to do everything now to win. That's why we're surprised in the trade we didn't do anything, because He's here for now. You have 3 years to win. And again, if you don't win this year, if Carey doesn't want to resign because the team is too bad, because he wants to come in the era, he wants to be in the same era of Martin Brodeur and Patrick Roy, he needs to win a cup. Is it the team he's going to do it with the product in front of him, right? So we know that Carey, with the way he's playing right now, with 10 other teams in the NHL, they give him the cup right now. So that's when we look at all that. He's slowing down a lot. I don't know. I'd be worried.
Can you see? He's the type of player that was going to step up in the playoffs, though.
Well, we'll see. The thing I think a lot of people forget with Weber also, Weber didn't want to come to Montreal. He was so happy in Nashville. His life was perfect in Nashville, and it sort of just, the carpet was pulled out from under his feet and his family's feet. So you wonder how much that plays into it also.
Who you said he's going to step up in the playoff?
Weber.
What did he do in Nashville last year?
I still listen. He's Captain Canada. He's going to do it. I believe.
What happened in the playoff last year in Nashville? He was out of gas.
Listen,
he was the worst
PK's
player.
in his prime. There's no question about it. He has had his better years. There's no question about it. When these teams get in the playoffs and as the years move forward, you see who gets the better of the trade. That's all. You can say this guy isn't doing it now and he's in his prime and PK's been hurt and had a bad start. Now he's back. He's doing good again. It's going to take a few years to see who got the better of this trade. And again, defensemen can play longer than forwards in this league. And he's not at his peak right now, but he can still be a very effective player. But like you said, and I agree with you, he has to be more physical. He has to protect the goalie. We saw it the other night. No one did anything.
Yes.
When Price got slew-footed by who?
Yeah.
A guy that should have been taken care of.
I think he's just saving it for the playoffs.
Weber still has about 22 years left on his contract, so we'll have a lot
but why you say 7? Last year in Nashville, he was the worst. He's the reason why they lost.
Maybe because the fans don't care in Nashville, Montreal. You know, it's inspiring.
He was out of gas. It's not that he didn't care. He was out of steam. He was done, and he played with Yossi. So this year in the playoff, he's going to be even. The more it goes advanced, the more tired that he is. I'm sure he wants to do good, but he's out of gas, and there's nothing we could do about it.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, George.
Yes, we will.
That's our show for today. We want to thank you all for tuning in at home. I want to thank the panel, Mr. Stu Cowan, Georges Laraque, and Chris Nilan. We'll be back next week to our regularly scheduled time on Thursday. Let us know your thoughts on the topics that we discussed in today's show by leaving comments in the comment section. If you like the video, show us that you care by clicking the like button on YouTube. That's our show. I'll see you next week, Habs fans.